Hi dear. Okay, so if you remember, we started in the last session. We talked about two kind of sorting. So sorting, we are trying to study here how to sort an array. Okay, so in the previous session, we talked about bubble sorting. We talked about serialized bubble sort and the insertion sort. We have two types of sorting that we're trying to explain here. So let us try to look again so we can remind ourselves what's happening here. So, okay, we try to start with the first type of sort, okay, which is a bubble sort. So the bubble sort, we actually going to make two kind of loops, and the bubble sort concept start with trying to push large numbers much towards down the bottom of the array. Okay, so if you can see here, okay, we are trying to push large numbers to the bottom. Okay, and also this is very clear here. You see 89 is pushed totally down. Okay, so you will see to implement this kind of concept or algorithm, then we need to create actually two loops. So every time we run a loop, we will try to push large numbers to the bottom. And every time we run, so as you said, we have an outer loop, we have an inner loop. Okay, so the inner loop will run for the first time until all the elements of the array, or even until the end here. So it means that if we have 8, let's say here, how many? We start with 8, we start with 0, sorry, and we end with 8. So it means that we have 9 elements inside the array. So the first time we run a loop, it will have, so we have 9 elements here. We will have, we will run 9 times the first for loop that we have, the first inner for loop that we have. Okay, but after that we will keep decrementing that. Okay, so this top values that we have, every time we run, we will actually decrement it by 1. Why? Because the way that works, the inner for loop actually will keep pushing the large numbers towards the bottom, and the second time we run, we don't need to do the comparison here anymore, because we know already that the large number already at the end of the array. Okay, so every time we run, let's have a look here. I couldn't get all the passes here just because of the space limitation in the image. So let's have a look here. So yeah, let's have a look. Sorry. So at the 7th pass, we'll find ourselves, oh, okay, we are running only with 3 elements here, okay, and the top is keep going up here like that. Okay, I will show you in the code how it looks like. Okay, so yeah, that's how it works. So it means that the top, every time we run, the top will be going up here. It means that every time the inner loop runs, it will push the large numbers towards the end of the array. And then when we do comparison again, we don't need to do comparison with at the bottom of the array, because we already guaranteed that large numbers already goes down. Okay, so let's have a look. So here is the code actually that implements the bubble sort. Okay, so as we said, we have two kind of loops: outer loop, which is a while loop, and we have an inner loop, which is a for loop. Okay, and inside here we have the core, which is a kind of comparison that push large numbers to the bottom by swapping. So we are comparing each consecutive numbers here, like what's happening here. Okay, so every 2 numbers here we're comparing. Okay, and then if the top number here is bigger, then we swap. Okay, So that's how we are trying to push large numbers at the bottom. So if we look here, 27 and 36, there is nothing to swap. So we move to the next. If we compare 36 to 42 here, okay, so we find, oh, okay, it's nothing also to change. And then if we're comparing 42 and 62, there is actually 42 is bigger, so we have to swap. We push the smaller number up and we push the large number down. Okay, so if we compare 42 and 89, actually there is nothing to swap. If we compare 89 to 21, actually we have to swap and we push 89 to the bottom and so on. So that part is actually done by the inner for loop. Okay, and the one who do the swapping is actually the if statement. Okay, so let's have a look here. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, so you see swapping is done here inside the if statement. Okay, so actually, so we have to create a temporary variable here. Okay, and then we put the small item. So, okay, now, so you see here, once, no, it's not the small item. So the if statement say, if my list index bigger than my list index plus 1, it means that if let's say here, if that number, okay, bigger than the number index by 1, okay, it means that we need to swap. We need to put the smaller number up and the bigger number down. So that's only once that's the only thing that makes if condition statements here execute. So if the number here, my list index, which is 19 in this case, is bigger than index plus 1, which is 16 here, for example. This is just an example. If here 19, okay, so we assign 19 to temp. Okay, so temp now have 19, and then we put in this position, instead of 19, we put 16 here. We put 16 to 8, and then we get whatever we saved in the temp, okay, which is 90, and we put it at the bottom. Okay, we put it in the place of 16. So that's the swapping. So that kind of swapping concept, actually, we have it in all the sorts that we have here. We have it in the bubble sort, and we have it also in the insertion sort. Okay, so okay, that's good. And let's have a look here. So here, okay. So that's the for loop that will run. And please notice that our range is top -1. So we will first, what is top actually? If you see here, top is the length of the array. If you have 9 elements, so it will be top -1. So it will be length of the array -1, because again, if we have 9 elements, it means that we have from 0 to 8. Okay, so the range here will be 8. Okay, from 0 to 8. Okay, so index will carry values from 0 to 8. So as we say, the top will start at the bottom, okay, at 8, and then every time we run the for loop, actually we will decrement here the top -1. Okay, so that's why, because every time the for loops run, it will actually go through all the elements of the array from 0 to 8. Okay, and then it will push the large number towards the bottom of the array. Okay, and then after that, after pushing the large number towards the bottom of the array, we will run the next for loop by top -1. So the first for loop we will run from 0 to 8. The second for loop will run from 0 to 7. Then from 0 to 6, and so on, because every time we run, we will decrease the top by 1. Okay, so here here actually we have two conditions to keep the while loop running. So every time we run the for loop and subtract top minus 1, we will check the conditions here. While swap, okay, means that we managed to swap something when we passed through all the elements of the array, because you know the for loop will have to go through all the elements of the array. If we didn't manage to swap anything here like that in this condition, okay, if this if condition is not satisfied when we go through the whole array, it means that the array was already ordered, okay, because that algorithm is designed for the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario says that we are having a totally unordered array, okay, but as you see from this array that we are having here, actually this array are having certain things that is already ordered, okay, like for example here we don't need to do any comparison. So what we want to say is that we design the algorithm with the worst case scenario in mind, but it means that also if we have an array that is partially ordered, then the algorithm is smart enough to detect that, and we will terminate if we run one whole for loop through all the elements of the array and we didn't even have a single swap. Okay, it means that yes, our array is already ordered, and so it means that swap will be false, or we already having top that is not bigger than 1 anymore, because every time we are subtracting minus 1, right? So it will start from top equal 9, and then it will keep decrementing until we reach maybe like 0. So once we reach here 0 also, that's one of the conditions that will make the outer loop here terminate. Okay, so that actually summarize what we are trying to do with the bubble sort algorithm. Then we print the array, and that's it. So what we say here, that the algorithm is we try to remember by while, for, if. So we start with outer while loop, and then we have an inner for loop, and then with the if statement for the swap, and then we print, and that's it. So next we will try to take insertion sort, or if you prefer, maybe we can talk about the circular queue, okay, in the remaining time.